Hi, this is Jeremy. In this video, we're going to work through the exercises that go along with the Math Antics video, Percents Missing Total. Are you ready? Here we go. Our first problem says, at a birthday party, 50% of the cupcakes are chocolate. If there are 20 chocolate cupcakes, how many cupcakes are there altogether? Okay, so this is a percent problem. Here's our percent. And we know that percents take the form of an equivalent fraction. They have a part over a total, and that's equal to a percent over 100, because that's what percent means, a fraction over 100. So these are the three numbers that could be missing. What are we trying to figure out here? Well, the question says, how many cupcakes are there altogether? Altogether is our clue, our key word, that the total is what's missing. And the fact that this video is called Percents Missing Total, that's a pretty big clue too. But how else would we know that that's what we're supposed to figure out? Well, by the information that it does give us. It does give us the percent, here 50%, and it says that the part that are chocolate, or that there's 20 chocolate cupcakes, that's the smaller part. How do we know that that's smaller than the total? Well, if all of them were chocolate, if 20 were chocolate and that's all the cupcakes there were, that would be 100% of the cupcakes. But it's saying that there's only 50% that are chocolate. That means there must be some others that are different flavors. Okay, but what we need to figure out is the total. How do we do that? Well, in the video, we saw that we could rearrange this form of the percent to a formula that is like this. Part times 100 divided by the percent is equal to the total. So we just need to use this formula and plug in what we know, and that'll tell us what we don't know, the total. Okay, so we just substitute in. The part here is 20. We'll say 20 times 100. That's on top. And then on the bottom, we have the percent, which is 50 here. So we just fill that in. We know that if we solve this, then that's going to give us the total. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve. On the top, we'll multiply 20 times 100, that's going to be 2,000 on the top. And then on the bottom, we're going to have 50. So all we need to do to figure out the total here is to divide 2,000 by 50. Now there's a couple ways we could do that. We could first simplify. We can divide the top and the bottom by 10 and cross this off so that we have 200 divided by 5. Or you could just use a calculator to divide 2,000 by 50, but I'll do it this way. So this would be 200 divided by 5. Let's go ahead and do that here on the side, divided by 5. 5 won't go into 2, but it will go into 20 4 times. That's on our multiplication chart. So 5 times 4 is 20, and the remainder is 0. Bring down the 0, so that's also going to be a 0. So 200 divided by 5 is 40, and that's our answer here. 40 is the total, or you can switch this around. But now we know that the total number of cupcakes at the birthday party is 40. Okay, our next problem says a store's parking lot is 10% full. If there are 12 cars in the lot, then how many cars can the entire parking lot hold? So we have a percent problem, and we can tell by the question here how many cars can the entire parking lot hold. Entire is a keyword that is asking us for the total. So it's a missing total problem, and we can also tell that by the things that we do know. We know the percent, 10%, and we know that there are 12 cars in the lot and that the lot's not full, so that must be the part. Okay, so we just use our formula that we learned in the video, which is we take the part and we multiply that by 100, and then if we divide that by the percent, we'll get the total. That's what we're looking for. So let's just fill those values in. Take the 12 cars for the part, 12 on top times 100, and then we'll divide that by the percent, which is only 10. Not very full. That's going to give us our total, T for total. So let's work that out. 12 times 100 is going to be 1,200, and then we're still going to divide that by 10 to get the total. And 1,200 divided by 10, we can do that by canceling the 10 on the top and bottom. Just take the 0 off. We have 120 over 1. That's just going to be 120. So that was an easy division to do without, the calculator. And so we know that our total, the total number of cars that can fit in the whole parking lot is 120. Our next problem says, a music store sells both electric and acoustic guitars. 1 month, the store sold 12 electric guitars. If that was 60% of their guitar sales for the month, how many guitars did they sell that month in all? Okay, so we've got a percent problem, and the key word here is in all. We're looking for how many guitars they sold that month total. So we're looking for the total. That's what's missing. And we can tell that also by the things that we do know. We know the percent is 60, and we know that that 60% represents 12 electric guitars. That's the part of the guitars that were electric. There's another part that's acoustic, and when they're combined, we'll get the total. So we take our formula for finding the total, which says that we take the part that we know, we multiply that times 100, and we divide it by the percent, and that's going to give us the total. So we just plug in what we know. 12 is the part that we're electric, so we'll plug in 12 on top times 100, and then the percent is 60%. And that's going to give us the total if we just work this out here. So 12 times 100 is going to be 1,200. We're going to divide that by 60 to get our total. We could do this with a calculator, but it's not too tough of a problem to just divide. First, we can simplify. We can factor out a 10 off the top and bottom to make the problem a little smaller. So now we've got 120 divided by 6. Let's do that just over here to the side. We can see that 6 will go into 12 2 times with no remainder. And so our answer is going to be 20. So this division problem here gives us an answer of 20. And that is the total number of guitars that were sold in that month. Our next problem says, a family is on a road trip and they have driven 30% of the distance to their destination. If they have driven 150 kilometers so far, what is the total distance to their destination? Okay, so one thing that will help us with this problem, we know it's a percent problem, but is to kind of do a diagram for it. Let's imagine that they're going on a trip from point A to point B. So here's A and B, and so far they've gone about 30% of the way. So that's about a third of the way. We'll say 30% of the distance they've gone, and that is 150 kilometers so far. That's how far they've gone. So we need to know the total distance to their destination, this whole amount. So it's easier to tell here that we're looking for the total also because it uses the word total. So this is a percent problem. What do we know? Well, we know the percent, and we know the part that they've gone so far, 150 kilometers. So let's plug that into our formula that we learned in the video. The part goes on top, so that's going to be 150 on top, and we multiply the part times 100. And then we divide that total, or we divide those numbers, what we get from doing that, we divide that by the percent, which is 30. And that's going to give us the total that we're looking for, the total distance to their destination. So let's do this multiplication. 150 times 100 is just going to be 150 with 2 more zeros on the end. Easy way to multiply by 100. So that's 15,000 divided by 30. We can cancel one of the 10s, so we're basically going to have 1,500 divided by 3. If you need to work that out, you can, like this, where you can use a calculator. 1,500 divided by 3. 3 will go into 15 5 times. There's no remainder to that. Bring down the next 2 zeros, so we're just going to have zeros. So we see that 500 is the quotient from this division right here. So that's going to equal 500. And we're talking about kilometers here. It's a distance. That's going to be the total distance for the whole trip from point A to point B is 500 kilometers. Our next problem says, a baseball team won 90% of their games last season. If they won 144 games, then how many games did they play during the entire season? Okay, so a key word here is entire, that we're looking for the total. It's a percent problem, and we see that during the season they won 144 games, and that's 90% of the total. So more games were played, and we need to figure out what the total number of games played during the season was. Okay, so we know the percent, that's 90%, and we know that the part that they won was 144. So we'll plug these numbers into our equation, which says that we take the part, which is 144 for us, and we multiply it times 100. And we're going to divide all that by the percent. In this case, that's 90, a pretty high percent that they won. Doing that simple formula will give us the total number of games that they played for the season. Okay, the math is a little harder in this one, so we're going to be able to use a calculator. First, we'll multiply this number on the top. 144 times 100 is going to be 14,400, and we're going to divide that by 90. That will give us the total. Let's go ahead and get out our calculator here so we can do that. 14,400 divided by 90 equals 160. Okay, so 160 is our total. It's the total number of games that were played, and they won 144 of that 160. That's the 90%. 160 total. Our next problem says, a rain barrel is 65% full. There are 26 gallons of rainwater in the barrel. How many gallons of water can the whole barrel hold? Okay, so we have a percent problem, and sometimes it's helpful to draw a little picture or diagram of what's going on here. So let's draw a rain barrel here. And it's only 65% full. That's going to be about 2/3 of the way full. So that's how much full it is. It's not 100% full, not all the way. And the amount of water that's in there, the measurement of it, is 26 gallons. So that's the part of the barrel that's full. We know the part and we know the percent, and we're looking to find the total here. The clue is that it's asking us how many gallons of water can the whole barrel hold. So we're looking for the total. And we can just use the formula that we learned in the video. That formula says that if we take the part, which is 26, and multiply that by 100, and then divide all of that by the percent, which is 65, that's going to give us the total that this barrel can hold. So let's go ahead and do that. 26 times 100 is just 2600, 2,600. And we're going to divide that by 65 to get our total. Let's go ahead and use a calculator to do that. We'll take 2600 divided by 65, and that equals 40. Okay, so 40 is our total. Now, let's not forget the units. It's in gallons. So let's write gallons here. So 40 gallons is the total amount of rainwater that this barrel can hold. Okay, our next problem gets a bit tricky. It says, a theater has sold 70% of the tickets for an upcoming show. If it has sold 63 tickets so far, how many tickets are left? And it gives us a hint. It says that we need to find the total first. Okay, so this is a percent problem, and we want to find the total, but it's not asking us for the total. Instead, it's asking us how many tickets are left. And what that means is if we had a total amount of tickets, and then we sold some of them, we'd have to subtract that amount from the total to get how many are left over. So that's what we really want to find in this problem, is how many are left, but in order to find that, we first need to find the total, like we have been in the previous problems. So let's go ahead and do that. We know it's a percent problem, and we know the percentage here, 70%. And we know that they've sold 63 tickets so far. That's the part that they have sold. So to find the total, we just plug that into our formula. We take the part, 63, and we multiply it by 100. And then we're going to divide that by the percent, which is 70. And that's going to give us the total number of tickets. So let's do that on top. 63 times 100 is 6,300 divided by 70. And let's use our calculator to find that quotient here. Let's go 6300 divided by 70. And that gives us 90. Okay, so we know that the total number of tickets is 90, but that's not the final answer. we need to find how many tickets are left. So we're going to take that 90 here and we're going to subtract the amount of tickets that have been sold so far, which is 63. 90 we can borrow from the 9 and we get 10 here. We're going to get 10 minus 3 is 7, and then 8 minus 6 is 2. Okay, so it looks like there are 27 tickets left over for the upcoming show. 27 tickets are left. And our last problem says, a bakery has sold 84% of the bread it baked that morning. If it has sold 126 loaves of bread, how many loaves of bread are left? And the hint is to find the total first. So this is tricky, again, like the last problem, because we need to find the total, but it's not asking us for the total. It's asking us how many are left. So what we need to do is find the total, and then we need to subtract how many loaves of bread have been sold that day, and that's going to tell us how many are left over that still need to be sold. So it's asking us for how many are left, but to get that, we need to find the total. Since this is a percent problem, 84%, and we're looking for the total, let's just use the procedure we learned in the video. We know that the part is 126, so we're going to take the 126 loaves that have been sold so far. We're going to multiply that by 100. That's the part times 100, and then we divide that by the percent, which is 84. Doing that's going to give us the total that we need to figure out how many are left. So let's go ahead and solve 126 times 100 is going to be 12,600. And then we divide that by 84 to get the total. Let's use our calculator to do that. 12600 divided by 84 equals 150. So that's the total loaves of bread that were baked for that day. But it's not asking us that. We want to find out how many are left. So we need to take that total, 150, and subtract the number that have been sold, which is the 126, the part that's been sold. And if we do that subtraction, the difference will be how many are left over. Okay, so we'll subtract column by column. 0 minus 6, we need to borrow, so that we have 10 minus 6, that's 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. And 1 minus 1 is 0. So the number of loaves that are left over is 24.